resemble that.
That's for a public hearing. So I said, first amendment, you did it. Well, I see.
I think I see. Let's give it a Dr. Johnson.
Oh, yeah, she was like,
And then this is Johnson.
she was like 90.
Yes, you go around like this.
Yeah.
Going on. So one was in the school. Listen to this. Listen to this. She's I'm on the school board, and she calls me by the and she goes, come to my office. She wants me to go down on the school board. I said, well, let me see this. I have pictures of the road.
Oh, no. Oh.
Yeah, she was one. She was one of the leading. She was. She was mentioned.
All of your devices are in. That one I have to look for.
How much did it cost you?
Oh,
I got, I don't know.
Get this one. Yeah.
That's right.
Give all your devices. Seems like one's missing.
The one that used to be over there, I didn't have it in my office tonight. So nobody has come in via Zoom, so.
You only have like.
It's for the person.
Makes the threshold.
I work night sure.
Oh, I should be. My Bucky's love. Did you get that? Maybe you did.
I'm so fun at these meetings. I know that. Is it an open bar? Is it an open bar?
It's in my car. But don't tell the police chief.
Outside for a minute.
No.
No. Susie's is though.
Clear, clearly.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Please call the roll.
Supervisor Quigley,
Here.
Councilwoman DeGroot,
Here.
Councilwoman Hayner,
Here.
Councilman Van Cleef.
Here.
Thank you very much and welcome to the Town of Ulstertown Board meeting for Thursday, April 17th. Please note the exit signs in the rear, and if instructed to evacuate the building, please do so in an orderly manner through the exits so indicated. Are there any additions or changes to the agenda tonight?
No.
At this point, I would like to open the floor to public discussion on agenda items. We will be having a public comment period at the end of scheduled business for any topic that any individual wishes to call to the attention of the town board member. And after that, we will be going to executive session in accordance with the agenda. Are there any public comments on the agenda? Ms. Lucarini?
I just have a question on the litigation, I-Park 87, Article 7 action. If you could just explain that before you go into executive session, that would be great.
The town of Ulster, in the normal course of business, is periodically sued by property owners within the town's boundaries where they believe that the assessed value that the assessor's office assigns to their properties are unjust, usually too high, never too low. And so, there is a court process that is followed, and it comes to the point, during the court process, we may be asked to negotiate, which then becomes a confidential nature of the discussion of the town board. From time to time, we are asked, and we come to a settlement, which you will hear us vote on only after we've agreed amongst ourselves that it's the appropriate course of action. So that's basically what this is to talk about, the progress on the tax cert action and the various courses of action that are available to us going forward. Any additional comments, questions from the members of the audience on the agenda items? Thank you very much. Abstract of claims?
Yes, I had one for 2024. We got it.
Microphone.
Oh, sorry. I've never been told that I'm not loud, so it's very unusual for me to need one. We had an accounts payable that we need to do for 2024 Bright Acres Water Fund District. It's for Central Hudson for the amount of $3,383.34. And then our April 2025 abstract of claims is for $1,169,000, $962.15.
These are bills being paid in the ordinary course of business by the town. May I have a motion to accept the abstract as presented?
I'll make that.
Do I have a second?
And I will second that.
Would there like to be any discussion on that? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
All right, we
Budget
did-
mods and transfers.
Yep, we had some budget modifications. Do you want me to read them all out? or
No, just
Just the total?
the total.
So we had some budget modifications from December 24. It's $511,059.91. And then we had some budget transfers we had to do for December 2024 in the amount of $237,105.65.
Before calling for a vote on the matter, Ms. Sweeney, is there anything that you would like to advise the board that is present in these that we should know about?
It's really the normal course that we take at the end of the year. We are required by law to make sure that our expenses, anything that's gone over, we use other expenses or revenues that haven't met their threshold. And we use it within the same department if we can. And we just move that over. So the budget stays the same.
Okay, so may I have a motion to accept the budget mods and transfers as presented?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
I do have a question.
Go ahead.
on it, though. We had talked about it earlier. So if in the next little while, some of these expenses had to do with last year's computer situation. So at some point, with maybe in the next month or so, could you give us a breakdown?
The next meeting, we will present a report of the expenditures incurred from the cyber attack.
And not only the expenditures, but also the money that was revenue that came from like the insurance company and all. So
Absolutely.
full picture. Thank you.
Committee reports. What committees do we have reporting?
I'm set to report.
You're set for,
I can report.
but which committee?
I'm planner, comp, and I'm doing Parks and Rec.
Okay, please proceed.
Okay, for the planner and the comp plan, number one, we've got a new planner this year, which happened in January and February. We were not able to meet as a committee, but we did move ahead with that. I worked with the supervisor on that. And our planner is up and running with the planning board. And I've gotten good reviews about Megan, who is the person that they send to the planning meetings. So I've heard that people were pleased with her work with the planning board and with the citizens. So we are, I think, glad that we picked this planner. So I think it all worked out. So then when it comes to the long-term comp plan, we'll be talking about a little bit about it later. But the same planner has a lot of experience with the long-term comp plan. And they have a good track record. So we will have a committee meeting in the month of May, and we will report back once we have some thoughts about how to bring together, to create in order to do a master plan, we have to have a townwide committee. So how to get that broad-based townwide committee. We'll be working on that under their guidance. And we're gonna have to brainstorm with them about how to go through this. Included later, we'll discuss the funding of that and how it'll be done. And then the second thing I'm on is Parks, I chair is Parks and Rec. And we've reported on that the last couple of weeks. The parks look good. If the lighting isn't turned on yet, I think it is turned on, but I have not gone down to see if it's on yet. But Frank thought it was done at the Orlando Street Ball Field, and we're looking forward to that being used. The park, Ryder Park is not Ryder, Post Park is starting to be made ready. According to Frank, the team's been down there working on it. The water, I believe, is the drinking water is not yet certified potable, but we think it is. But we're all set there. They do that every year to certify it. There's nothing else about the parks. The recreation side, Sue, the Easter egg hunt is this Saturday, rain or shine.
Yes, 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock, rain or shine at Post Park. Okay, so we will be opening the park just for that. The park's not really open yet, but it will be open for that event. Rain or shine, it will happen there.
Do
And
we
then
have a surprise visit?
if you're dressing up like an Easter bunny,
From the bunny?
Yeah,
Of course.
okay.
Taylor from the court is the bunny.
don't tell.
You're not supposed to say.
They don't know who Santa was.
What time is it?
Sandy's coming too.
Yes, what time is it?
Enough discussion about that.
What time is the Easter egg hunt?
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock, thank you.
Rain or shine. To the rec committee side, I mean, to the summer program side, we appear to be okay on the summer camp. We're still waiting for signups, and we'll be gauging that. I can report better later on that. On the question about the softball, it does not look like we have anybody signed up to do that Monday night, which was the composite bat. We're very concerned about safety with that, but if it does happen, all the rules will be followed, and adults are playing that throughout just the area. So we're working with Chucky to figure out but he says right now, maybe no issue because nobody wants to play it right now. So
Is that something we get to vote on?
we could, if somebody wants to make a resolution, we could say no. We could say no composite bat softball on the field if that's what we want, but we ought to talk, I ought to get Chucky's a little more information, because I know why we wouldn't want it. But I'm not sure, because there's a lot of adult leagues that play it. So I don't know if that impacts us. I don't, for use of the field, I couldn't tell you how, for sure. Right now, we have nobody signed up for it.
Nobody signed up, that means there's no interest.
As of right now, there's no interest in composite, because we made strict rules, so they don't want to play by the strict rules. So
Well, okay.
so I'm okay with that, and then, but I think if there's something comes up, I can make
I
sure we
would
talk
like that
about
to
it.
be a future discussion that we
Yes.
have.
I'm
That's
fine
something
with
I
that.
feel that we should have a discussion if somebody does sign up.
Why don't I have Chucky prepare, he has some information on that, and we can discuss that next month.
I would prefer that.
Especially
Thank
with
you.
insurance.
Yeah, that's great, yep, but so far, we have curtailed it by making strict rules.
No problem.
And, I think it was good, right, we're just waiting to see what, signups will be for summer camp, as far as how many staff members we'll need.
Okay,
Is there anything else?
He's gonna start at Ryder tomorrow. I don't know if that's Chris's.
No, that's right, so we're gonna have the boat, yeah, as far as for the licenses,
launch.
the boat launch is gonna start tomorrow, right? You said?
Yes.
okay.
Any questions? We're okay?
No, we're okay. I'm okay. Any questions?
No.
Anna?
I have just one thing to report on, and it's, water, sewer, and personnel. Michaela is doing very well in her position now. Both Vincent and John reported that she is undergoing, obviously, some learning curves now that she's alone, but she is doing very well.
Okay. And that's it?
That's all I had to
Okay.
report at the time.
There is an EMS committee. And it is now transitioned into more of a day-to-day coordination between the supervisor, the fire companies, and the service provider, Empress. We distributed the report for the 30 days ending March 31st, and the new ambulance contract is performing as expected. There were, out of 300 and some calls, there were only 4 mutual aid calls, which is a major reduction from the level of mutual aid calls in February. I think it's premature to start talking about trends until we get at least 90 days of data under our belt so that we can have a comprehensive picture of how this arrangement is performing. Empress has been requested to come to the town's emergency services meeting in June to make a presentation to the fire companies and the emergency response groups on how they feel the contract is performing for them, and to give the fire companies and the emergency service personnel an opportunity to ask questions. For example, last Friday, I was called over an errant call that appeared to be a 24-minute response in the southern part of the town. After investigating it and gathering the details, we found out that it was a misdispatch. They thought it was originally in the town of Rosendale. Our units do not respond to the town of Rosendale. But once that it was determined that it was in the town of Ulster, an ambulance showed up within the required contractual time limit that's stated in our agreement with Empress. So that concludes EMS. Any questions from the board on that?
Have we set the date yet for June or not yet?
It is in the email that comes out. I'll have to send you the email again for the meeting. Okay, now it is 7:15. We're past the 7:10 appointed hour for our public hearing. Mr. Blauer, I would invite you to the podium to explain the purpose of this public hearing and lay the groundwork for what hopefully is our successful application for a sewer grant.
Thank you, Supervisor. Everyone, I'm Mark Blauer. I'm a grant writer. I'm based in Berwick, Pennsylvania. And I've been working for the town since 1983 on various projects. Most typically the Community Development Block Grant Program from the U.S. Department of HUD, which for many years was run by HUD directly, but now is run by the state of New York through the Office of Community Renewal. The last few years, we've worked on a variety of water and sewer extensions. Those included the water extension for Leggs Mills Road, Brigham Lane, and later the sanitary sewer extension for Katrine Lane, and as well as the sanitary sewer extensions 1 and 2 for the Spring Lake neighborhood. Going back to the 80s and 90s, we worked on water projects and storm drainage projects in Glen Eyrie, sanitary water projects in Saco Road, Cherry Hill, any number of projects I can barely remember at this point. The Spring Lake water tank years ago, and way back in the 80s, the projects to improve the wastewater treatment plant at Whittier. So we have a long history of perhaps 20 or so projects that were successful, either with storm drainage, water extensions, or sewer extensions into neighborhoods of our community that do not have those services. So we're here tonight preparatory to a possible application in July for something beyond what we've done in the past. In terms of housekeeping, I'm going to pass around a sign-in sheet. We are required, if we do apply, to provide a copy of the public hearing notice and a copy of the attendance sheet for anybody who cares to sign in. I'm going to pass around. You don't have to sign in, but I would ask that you just pass it around the room so that we can get it back to Suzanne by the end of the evening, and then we will include that with any application we submit. I've been talking to our engineers at Brenner Larios and to Supervisor Quigley about possible continuation of our work on the Leggs Mills Road area and Brigham Lane. Back in 2014, we applied for and received funding for a water project on that very area. And that water project was completed, I believe, in 2016. It's been very successful, serves the properties on Lakes Mills Road, on Brigham Lane, and the trailer park, which did not have public water, but now does. A successor project that we're considering, based upon the fact that the trailer park in that neighborhood is primarily of low moderate income. It turned out to be 80% low moderate income back in 2014, and we only had to hit 51%. So the neighborhood seems to qualify, and we don't have sanitary sewer, so we're looking to do that as a continuation. The grant program allows up to $1.5 million of grant money for a standalone project. If we were to combine it with other funding, such as the Environmental Facilities Corporation or USDA, we could ask for up to $2 million. I've been in discussion with Bernier Larios and the supervisor regarding practicality, competitiveness, and timing. I'm working on a variety of other programs like this in Ulster County, Warsing, Ellenville Village, and Village of New Paltz. And what I've learned in the last 2 years, we have not applied as a town here in Ulster the last 2 years. The state has gotten very, very stringent about readiness to proceed. They're essentially demanding that if we apply, that we say that within 6 months of approval, that we're going to be breaking ground. Now, if you're simply replacing water mains or sewer mains, that's not too difficult. It's a replacement activity. If you're putting a brand new sanitary sewer system in, there's some heavy duty permitting that you have to get by. So I've looked at this very carefully and said that we cannot, in honesty, make a commitment that if we're approved in November, that we will be under construction in May of next year, simply because the timing with permitting may take 15 months all by itself. We may have archaeology to undertake. We did in 2015. We're going to have floodplain requirements. We're going to have seeker requirements. We're going to have a whole series of things that we have to, a lot of hoops to jump through. So that we were considering an application due July 31 to propose a extension for that area for sewer. I've looked at this very carefully and assessed the possibilities, and based upon recent experience, I don't think we can say that we'll be under construction within 6 months of approval if it comes in mid-November like it did last year. So that my suggestion is that we get our ducks in a row for a 2026 application and use an opportunity for July for something of a lesser amount. The state allows, along with public infrastructure projects for up to $2 million to build things, they allow up to $50,000 for planning grants. And a planning grant, we took advantage of one back around 2005 when we asked for a planning grant for what became the East Kingston Water Project. We did a study with our engineer to examine the feasibility of East Kingston Water in 1 year, and in a later year, we came back actually asking for the money to build it. And we had gotten everything in order. We had gotten our permitting, and we had gotten pretty much draft plans and specs kind of ready to go. We had a layout. And then when we came back for funding to actually construct, they remembered us. They knew that we had done our planning. We had done a good report, and we got funded. So my suggestion is that even though we advertise the hearing tonight with the idea of perhaps an application up to 1.5 million for sewer for that neighborhood or some other similar project, knowing the reality of the competition of late, and I've seen this in various other places in Ulster County, that I cannot reasonably say will be under construction within 6 months, say May of next year. So that rather than lose our credibility, once lost, you don't get it back, that we come in with a interim project, which is a planning grant for up to $50,000 to get all the issues out of the way, such as a preliminary design, a preliminary layout, an idea of who would be served, where the lines would go, maybe some permitting upfront, getting our seeker out of the way. If we have to, doing our archaeology, because we have to coordinate not only with the State Historic Preservation Officer, but also for historic preservation officers for 4 Indian tribes that have historically a presence in New York. So at times we might be asked by the Stockbridge Muncie community of Wisconsin, which historically had members of their tribe residing in New York, we may be asked to do an archaeological study. So rather than get hung up and not have that done by the end of July, which would be a real problem, I'd rather that the town consider an application just for planning to get that, to get our ducks in a row in a sense, to get everything in order so that in 2026, you might come up with a very competitive application.
Thank you, Mark.
So
I just, I want to alert the community that the town board has evaluated the program and identified a project. This is, but we're seeking your input on the project. So just be cognizant of the process that Mr. Blauer spoke about, because this process is going to be applicable to any project that comes forth from your recommendations. And we will also have to be cognizant of the fact of the portion of the community that this project is focused on must be 51% low to moderate income. And in looking at the neighborhoods throughout our community, that limits our choices to locations and limits our choices to the types of projects that can be done. I want to call the public hearing to order. So I'll ask for a motion to start.
Make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have public comment, please come to the podium. Please identify yourself for the record so that Ms. Reevy may take and place your name in the record and provide us with your comments on a proposed project.
you can suggest other projects you have in mind, other neighborhoods, whatever you may wish. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone at all? Ms. Sanders?
Caitlin Sanders, Town of Ulster resident. How does this apply to Glenary Boulevard? Because I know this originally originated with the Lower Sophistry Management.
Glenary Boulevard is a neighborhood that at one time satisfied the low to moderate income characteristics required to get approval of this grant. We used this program for 2 specific programs in Glenary. One was the water tank, and the second was a large stormwater project on North Drive in that area. At the present time, from an engineering point of view, we are challenged with how to connect the Glenary neighborhood to the Ulster Sewer District. That is the engineering problem we are trying to work out. This proposed project in Brigham Lane is a clearly identifiable connection under the Esopus Creek to Katrine Lane. So your neighborhood has not been forgotten. It's on the list, and we are working through a progression. Ms. Lucarini, I believe you had your hand raised.
Hi, my name is Vicky Lucarini. I live at 170 Ledge Road. I don't have any suggestion for a particular project, but however, the project that has been suggested that you are applying for with Lakes Mill Road and the other road. I heard you say my concern is whatever project you do, that you consider the resilience of climate change. So doing some engineering about how, for flooding, for instance. I know that in the past, we've had pipes that were a certain size, but maybe we need pipes that are larger size for like flooding, that type of thing. I'm just saying, please plan for resiliency for climate change.
Actually, I can answer that question.
Okay, great.
The normal sewer systems throughout our community are gravity, which means they are the large diameter pipes with manholes. When you put a manhole in a low-lying area, the water seeps in through the top of the manhole and floods out the sewer system. The low-pressure sewer systems that we have installed along Katrine Lane, which is a low-lying area along the Esopus, as well as the Spring Lake districts, is a small 2-inch to 3-inch pipe that is a pressurized system fed by a pump in the house. There is no way for water from outside the system to get into the system to flood it out. So from a resiliency point of view, this is a closed loop system that is very secure. Okay. Ms. Hartman?
Laura Hartman, 44 Catskill Avenue, Manchester. I have a question and then a comment. Will there be a comment period we could write in other suggestions?
Absolutely.
And how long will that be?
30 days.
From today?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And I just want to say from the presentation today, lend my support to the project. It's certainly a community that needs the help, and taking them off septic tanks and to sewer system is definitely a really good idea. And your idea of protecting the project and ensuring its success by doing the planning grant, I think is a really, really terrific idea. So I just am going to say I support your thoughts.
I'd like to point this out, that the avenue that Mr. Blauer is suggesting, the town has done. In the Spring Lake Phase 2 project, we made 2 applications for grants and we were rejected. The ARPA money came along and we fully funded and awarded a contract for the design and the pre-development work. And we received approval from DEC on the design prior to making our grant application. And that led to the successful evaluation of our grant. And we successfully completed the construction within 9 months of getting a grant. So that is a major plus for us, as we have demonstrated after 2 projects that dragged out much longer than they should have because of COVID. We came back and redeemed ourselves with HCR by completing a project well within the time limits.
And I do know everybody in Spring Lake definitely appreciates the work that was done over there. So
Thank you.
thanks.
Are there any additional comments here tonight? May I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Public comments will be accepted in writing for up to 30 days from tonight. Moving forward to our scheduled agenda under new business. First item is a presentation acceptance of the town clerk's monthly report for the month of March 2025. Ms. Reevy, is there anything you wish to advise us to be aware of in this report?
No, there's none.
Thank you.
I make a motion to be accepted.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item is the presentation and acceptance of the supervisor's report for the period August 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2024. This report has been delayed because of the cyber incident that we experienced in September. The books have been closed and information has been provided to our external auditors for review, which is why I feel confident enough that we can make this presentation tonight and close out 2024 and move forward. May I have a motion to accept the report?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item, I would usually ask Mr. Frank Petromol, the highway superintendent, to make an explanation of this issue. But unfortunately, the town's water, sewer, and highway departments are currently engaged with a sewer main break on Ulster Avenue that appears to be going all night. So the motion is to authorize the highway superintendent and Matthew Molinaro to attend the annual highway school at Cornell University from June 2nd to the 3rd, 2025 in Ithaca. May I have a motion to authorize their travel?
I make that motion.
A second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Ms. Hayner? Yeah.
Okay. First we have Joseph. First, we have Joseph Killian for the Highway Department. Joseph Killian is being promoted to HMEO at the Highway Department effective March 23rd, 2025. He will be grade 8, step 5 at the rate of $29.17.
May I have a motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
And I will second. that.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
My second one also comes from this Superintendent of Highways. It is for seasonal part-time summer employees. Jacob Freer has a CDL license and has been seasonal employee for the past few years. He is returning to work 40 hours per week with no benefits. Start date is the 21st of April at $23 per hour.
I will make the motion.
Second.
I have another one. It's Ronald Winchell, who is currently a student of Ulster County BOCES. We will be partnering with BOCES where he can only work a couple hours per day while he's still in school. He'll be paid at the rate of $18 per hour at the start date of 4/21/25.
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second that.
Okay, are there any discussions on the highway department hires? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We have 2 retirements or 2 resignations for the police department.
I'm sorry. I don't put things out because I hate wasting paper. Okay, we need a motion to accept the resignation of part-time officer Joseph Trapanese.
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second that.
We also need a motion to accept the resignation of part-time dispatcher Jaden Campos. You all remember, we hired him as a full-time police officer last meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion on the 2 motions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the next item is in relation to a contract that the town of Ulster has with Ulster County for an ARPA grant for the Parks Department that funded the rehabilitation of the softball field lighting system. This is an extension of the contract term. There is no other change in any of the terms and conditions in the contract. May I have a motion to authorize the supervisor to sign?
So moved.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Last week, or last meeting, I should say, we had a presentation from Dennis Larios on a sewer district extension for Washington Avenue. We also had a public hearing that met the criteria required to legally extend the district. Tonight, I am presenting a resolution approving the establishment of the Washington Avenue Sewer District Extension Number 1. I ask for a motion to authorize this resolution.
I make that motion.
And I will second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item is in relation to an abandoned New York State DOT right-of-way on Route 9W in Lake Katrine next to the Holiday Inn Express. This is a portion of Route 9W that was abandoned in 1929 when the highway was reconstructed out of concrete and the right-of-way was straightened. This is in the vicinity of the VFW War Memorial that was relocated to that site shortly after the Second World War. The New York State DOT is abandoning the right-of-way to the town. This resolution authorizes the town to accept the abandonment. May I have a motion to accept the resolution as presented?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item I will open to the town board to discuss the plan, map, and report that have been presented to the town board to start the process for the formation of the townwide ambulance district. This is a taxing district that we would like to put in place to facilitate the contract with Empress, and it will provide the utmost transparency to the community on the costs of operating the ambulance district. So with that, I'll open the floor to discussion.
One of the things we talked about earlier, which I think is important for all of us to keep in mind, is that though this will be separated on the tax bill, it's still going to fall under the tax cap. So that will have an impact on our ability for taxing this year. So we will keep that in mind. We knew that was coming with last year's introduction to this program. And we're hoping that there will be some support. I know Jason's been working on that with the county to get some support, but we have to be prepared that this will be will be on the full tax roll potentially.
Mr. Kovacs, could you just briefly talk about the legal process that we need to follow from this point forward?
Certainly, Supervisor. This is very similar to what we did with the Washington Avenue sewer extension. We have map plan and report. And then we will, at the next meeting, schedule a public hearing to hear public comments. At the conclusion of the public comment period, we can close the public hearing, and then we would have a resolution in order, which we would file with the county clerk, state controller, and that would give us plenty of time to have this in place for the 2026 fiscal year.
Thank you. So as stated, we will come back after some time and bring back a finalized plan, map, and report, schedule the public hearing, and move forward from there. Mr. Van Cleek, on the matter of the grant application to Greenway.
Okay, we are working with our new planner and doing quite well with them. That would be both Maxwell Stock and Megan. And we've been discussing with them their ability to work with the town on doing the master plan, which we have talked about needing for a while. It was brought to our attention through some of the citizens, including ulstercitizens.org and some other people, that there was a grant available through the Greenway, application through the Hudson River Valley Greenway. I came in, Supervisor Quigley and I talked about it, and he had a previous connection with them, so he made a phone call. And yes, in fact, we are eligible for that. But rather than applying, we'd like to we have a resolution as the next motion, but rather than applying now, our planner is recommending that we approve this, but then allow them to work with us to apply for this Greenway grant. Plus, there's another New York State grant that we can apply for to help get funding, because there's quite a bit of state funding that appears to be available when it comes to master plans. They're very open to that. So everyone understands that when we do the master plan, it's by and large, it has to be a community effort. That's one of the qualifications of getting these grants, but when also our desire to do the master plan is we're going to want to have community buy-in on this. This is not something that we just have one portion of our community, and we have to have everyone get involved so that we can put together a truly usable long-term master plan. So then that leads us up to the next issue, which would be next.
As part of the grant application, the town is required to submit a resolution of the town board notifying Greenway that the town board is in agreement on making this application. So this was a simple prerequisite to the grant application that I felt, excuse me, that we could get out of the way at tonight's meeting. So I have had a resolution prepared in the form, excuse me, that Greenway has provided to us and asked for a motion to accept this resolution and authorize its filing with the grant application at the appropriate time.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve this.
I'll second that.
All those in favor on the resolution? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
If I could just add one thing about that, they were excellent about responding to us. So this is not like we're pulling teeth. These people were very responsive. I think, Jim, your email was answered within
Within an hour.
So. Good.
The next item is the first and last item under old business. And in
Oh, yeah.
pre-session, Mr. Van Cleek informed us that with Mr. Petromall's absence, to his understanding, everything is in appropriate condition down at the park and there's no issue with staffing, so.
When I told Frank it was on the agenda, he asked why. And then we had a long discussion about why. And had nothing to do with the topic. Then we got back on topic and decided that everything is fine, that the staffing is all there, and fish seem to be in the river, and they should probably be caught sooner than later.
So we can move on from that.
Mhm.
Ladies and gentlemen, prior to going to executive session for a matter regarding current litigation in reference to IPARK 87 and an Article 7 tax cert action, I'm pleased to open the floor to public comment on any and all topics that anyone here tonight wishes to address the town board on. Ms. Lucarini again.
One more time, thank you. I just want to say that, I am available to be, involved in any way comprehensive volunteers from the community.
Start a list.
Ms. Hartman.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say thank you for passing that resolution for the Greenway grant. I think it's going to be really helpful to us, and you all jumped on it very quickly when we presented the information, and I just want to say thank you for that.
And lo and behold, in my mailbox, the day after you mentioned it to me, showed up a piece of mail from Greenway saying, please apply.
Timing is everything.
Yes, it is. Are there any other members of the public here tonight who wish to address the town board on any matter?
You want me to read that letter?
Please.
We skipped communications. We did skip communications, didn't we? Going back to the beginning of the meeting where we usually do communications, we did receive an email on Tuesday, April 15th from a town resident. It reads, "Dear Town of Ulster, I am a 10 years resident and property owner on 110 Brigham Lane in Lake Katrine. I am sorry if I'm sending you a last minute proposal, brief email, and hopefully this will find your attention. Brigham Lane is a very depressed community where mental disorders, drug addiction, abuse, and neglect are daily routine. The community is overall depressed by low socioeconomic and living conditions in the trailer park. We do get a very mixed community of all colors and religions. I feel very strongly about introducing on such a big, empty, uncultivated farm, 226 Legsville Stockhurst Farm, a small community garden and a small park for the kids where they could play away from the trailers and cars and grow their foods, learning how to be healthy and well with their friends and family. Community garden could generate a CSA farm food, which could reduce the county a huge amount of food stamps per families, make beautiful things happen. Sincerely, Camilla Nigro of Brigham Lane."
Thank you. The supervisor also received a communication from a resident of 7 Greens in reference to a topic that she read in the Freeman several months ago, which we had individuals come to the town board meeting and raise the issue of the trailer encampment on Seat Song Farm. She unfortunately could not make it here tonight, but I have been in contact with the management at Seat Song Farm as well as the building inspector, and we will be working through the issues. And is there anything else for the town board that they wish to advise the community on? Any additional comments from members of the audience? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. That finishes our scheduled agenda for tonight. I make a motion to proceed to executive session to discuss pending litigation.
I second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Bill, do you want to hold on? Because we can get through this real fast. I'll be back.
Thank you.